Hi, Cancer. Thank you for joining. And in this time, I have a poem for you. It's called The Moon and the Dewdrop. Enlightenment is like the moon reflected in a dewdrop on a blade of grass. The moon does not get wet, nor is the drop of water broken, and the whole moon and entire sky are reflected in even one drop of water. So let's just take some time. Take a few couple deep breaths, okay? Now before I started your recording, there was a huge poll. All right, so when I was doing your reading, I always try for every sign to pull a plant ally card, and I just was not getting anything for your reading in this time. And so I continued on, right, and received what wanted to come through. And then once I sat here and got ready to do your recording and connect with you, I wanted to, yes, firstly connect with your energy and get centered and make sure that I am in the right state of being in order to be that channel and that transmutation of information for you. So as I'm doing that, I had a huge pull to put on one of my absolute favorite salves, and it's the tea tree therapy eucalyptus chest rub. So yes, most folks will use this when they have a cold. They'll put it on their chest, or pinch it around their nose. But I find it so helpful even if you're not feeling ill or have any sickness going on. Just the aromatherapy uses and the antimicrobial properties of these elements, as well as the olive oil and the beeswax that they use in the ointment. So as a quick little side note before we really get into your reading, is your plant allies. Now this is in combination, it's not individual. You'll want to use them in this time all together, which is why the tea tree therapy eucalyptus chest rub salve, it's already all put together. And another great thing is you can keep and clean the container as it's glass with a plastic lid, so you can use a whole bunch of, there's just many uses. And I don't know about you, but I have been starting to look at what I purchase and what container it comes in as, and if I'm able to repurpose it, or how can I reuse it instead of putting it back out there as rubbish. But that's a whole nother discussion. So for your plant allies, we have eucalyptus, peppermint, lavender, and tea tree. And for specific details and uses and recipes for each one of those, you can check it out on Patreon, as we have a lot of information over there regarding many different topics. Okay, Cancer, so I firstly want to invite you to check out Virgo's reading for this time, as there's going to be a message for you, at least in the first portion of the reading, because you pulled the same Six of Cups as Virgo did. So we're starting off kind of in that sense of, and it may just be this autumnal change, this change in seasons, right, where we're all harvesting what we put in the spring, and we're reflecting on past events and situations as we move forward. And we'll get deeper into these reflections as the nights grow longer and the days grow shorter, and we go into the winter equinox. But there's always things we can do, right, to kind of get a jump start in a healthy way on these future experiences. So yes, so you may be leaving the past, right? Well, you are leaving the past. We're all leaving the past and we're headed to the future. But you are definitely thinking more about your future in this time. So Cancer, really emphasizing moving forward, right? So you're coming out of kind of like a turbulent situation into calmer and more serene ways of being. The Pluto retrograde, I think, has been shuffling things up a bit, especially for those who connect strongly with the element of water. So just know that in this time, Pluto is going to be in Capricorn, the 10th house, but it will be moving into the 11th house stationary in November. So, from now until November, it could feel a little bit like you're in the rocking boat and you just want things to kind of quiet down and become still, right? So you may be seeing a little bit of the turbulence more so at the end of October, beginning November, but then you will, after the second week of November, start to see that level and mellow out. And so, in that time, you'll really start to see that the forefront is you coming to peace, right, with your limits. And in the past, right, when you've wanted something or you've set a goal and things just did not work out in your favor, there was a tendency of giving up. And even if you hadn't felt sorry for yourself, you just kind of wiped your hands and said, okay, and left and started something else. In this time, you're being asked to keep moving forward with the endeavor, right? We're not putting our hands up. We're not shrugging our shoulders and walking away. We're keeping with it. And we're going to move forward, okay? So you have this newfound sense of oneness. But you're starting to see how everything is connected. And with that realization, you understand now, or are starting to understand, that time is an illusion. And material items always change and transmute form. And so you're able to take these limits and build tasks, right? And turn it into finding an active and lasting solution. Right? So you're going down that road and there's a huge pothole, and instead of, what once used to be guardrails where you couldn't go around it and you had to just go through, they're no longer there anymore. So you can go around. You can bypass it completely. There's no need to keep going forward on something that may be detrimental to your health and your well-being. But it's not giving up, right? It's not sitting there and doing nothing. It's not turning around and going backwards, okay? We are always still moving forward. Yes, so everything that made you anxious and distressed, you're now working towards more fulfilling endeavors. Okay, so Cancer, where is Mercury transiting in this time? I want you to look at your natal chart and see where Mercury resides natally. So not transiting, but where, Mercury was housed during your birth. And if you need assistance with that, feel free to email me. You can also go over to Patreon, and there is a lot of useful and helpful tutorials to kind of get you jump started on understanding some of these concepts if you don't already. So Mercury here will assist you in seeing the patterns of your life's work. Okay, so seeing how we have determined our own life's work, right? And seeing how fate can often release anxiety and promote your acceptance that will allow you to move into your future. Okay, so Cancer, know that maps are helpful navigational tools such as tarot or astrology or even psychology, right? They're priceless tools, but they cannot make your choices for you. Whether it's you studying and working with it, or you're working with someone else and they're assisting you in it, the choice still has to be yours, right? And change cannot, it can't automatically happen, right? None of these tools are going to significantly change your external situation just by knowing about it, right? You have to be an active participant in the understanding and influencing of the changing action that would take place in your life. Okay. But the good thing is, right, is that knowledge is the first step in understanding. Okay. So you also have number 3, which is the stage of initial completion. Okay. And I'd like to invite you to Patreon to check out Jason and Pelios's story. Right? They are going to get the golden fleece. You are on your way to the golden fleece, right? Or you have been on your way. And the right people, it's pretty lucky, Cancer, because the right people seem to just appear as if by magic. But, even with that divine intervention, there is still going to be a lot of hard work. And I know a lot of times it's like you just want to float away in the waters and, allow those ripples to just pull you underneath the willow tree where you can just be, all in your environment, in your own energy, away from the hustle and bustle. And that's okay. We all need to take those moments of restoration to revitalize ourselves and keep ourselves healthy, right? Mind, physically, mentally, emotionally. Like, we need those outlets and those relaxation techniques and in situations, but we can't live there, right? We will need to come out eventually and face those turbulent waters that might arise. But now you can do so because you have the knowledge and the backing, right? And you're ready, you understand, and you have a lot of really helpful people that have come into your life and who will still be coming into your life. So that's something that we're really grateful for. And just remembering, Cancer, that true creative confidence can only be found if the idea is put to the test and stretches the individual to the utmost. So we can't grow unless we're actively engaging. Okay. But you do you do get what you want. I guess, I mean, with hard work, it is possible. And you will find yourself, once you have the golden fleece, but so there may be a time, and there's already been times like this, I see, where you've gotten so close to that goal and you were so unbelievably exhausted and tired, and it's like you can't even go on, and it almost feels like all of that hard work was just worthless, pointless. And in the past you have, and like we've already spoken about this, you've just put your arms up, right, and walked away without a care, and just was like, all right, I'm done. Not so much that you said, I can't do this anymore, but I don't want to. Like, I'm so exhausted and I'm just done. I'm ready to do something else. But because this time is different and you are going to continue on, I just want you to know, don't give up, Cancer. Because it really is different, right? You are going to get that spark that will ignite you. It will give you energy to revitalize yourself so you can move forward. And this is your creative spirit. Your creative spirit is going to be renewed. And this is coupled with the Fool, okay, and the Eagle. So I want you to take a look at both of those on Patreon for deeper information, because it'll really help you on going forward and getting through, any obstacles that may arise. But I do see that you have the strength to get through this. Right? You're plunging into the unknown. And anytime any of us goes into something that we're not sure of, we've never encountered it before, it's completely new, it's scary. Because we don't know, right? Even on an evolutionary level, if we have never encountered it before, our body doesn't know how to react. And then we can look on the biological level where our body is set up to try to protect us, right? In any way, shape, or form. And the mind, though, can be tricky because it can trick our body in a biological sense that we're in a situation that is unsafe, when in reality it's completely safe, but it's just unknown. And so we get that release of dopamine and that fight or flight, and we start to have anxiety and we want to either hide or run away. But you've left the cave, Cancer. Right? So that dark and that undifferentiated mass of self-doubt and exhaustion is now turning tides, right? And you're beginning to find that true sense of individuality, right? And so now, even when you go along that path, if you haven't seen that animal before, you haven't heard that sound before, there could be a pause and a hesitation, which is completely natural, but you move forward to face it now, right? There's a significant change happening here. I also would like you to review Dionysus, the Twice Born. So that story is on Patreon. So you'll need to take that risk, okay? That risk that you've been putting off, you're going to have to take it, right? And then, so that all brings us here to Judgment, right? So we have the two snakes that are intertwined around Hermes' staff of magic as emblems of the feminine underworld of the instincts, which, Cancer, Apollo, the sun god, conquers, but which Hermes relates to in a different way, using it to serve his greater purpose in the design of the journey of life. So You will find your own way, right? And your own purpose of doing things, okay? Your unconscious still holds mummified relics. And this is because your past remains unremembered and unchanged in your unconscious. So until those meanings become clear, this will keep causing underlying illnesses to pop up. All right, so we need to work through that. And there's a lot going on, but you have the strength, and I see that you're already following through, and you're doing a really great job with all of these changes. So we're approaching, right, the end of the cycle, okay? What once used to be kind of like a trickster is now the protector of lost travelers, right? It's the magus who can point the way through the uncanny intuitions, which in myth, the god was said to dispense. Okay, now you're revealed as finding out what those hidden treasures in the underworld are for you. Okay, you're starting now to uncover them, and you're able to do this because you've pushed through the unknown. And so you're able to face what could be fearful. And there's a lot more doors now that have opened up, because there is a lot that we all miss out on because of fear. Even just the idea of fear can make us miss out on so many wonderful things and a lot of growth. But you're doing a great job by going through, okay? Yeah, I'm also hearing, so the story of how Hermes guided Orpheus into the dark kingdom to seek his lost wife, Eurydice, right? He guided him out when he had lost her a second time. Right? Yeah, it's like you're not afraid anymore because you know that the souls of the dead, they start to go through and get prepared for renewed life. It's like you're going through your own little death now whilst living, right? It's like a death of your unconscious, and you're being renewed and brought back into this new renewed life. Yeah. So, the artist experiences this process when, after many hours or weeks or even years of attempting to formulate or research or even, practice a certain technique and give it shape to an elusive idea or image, right? Something at last will happen, okay? And now a new creative work is born. So it's like pushing through that same process can be seen in psychotherapy, where an individual can struggle for many months with the disconnected memories and feelings of the past and present, being stuck and blocked. Suddenly a kind of cohesion will occur, and your life pattern makes sense at last. That's kind of the situation that you're going through right now, okay? And this process can occur in any realm of life, okay? Wherever we're tunnel blind, pouring effort into something which somehow remains elusive, and then at last that effort is rewarded, and there is a synthesis and a new development at hand. So you are at your most magical when you've revealed this to yourself. Okay. right? So we each sow seeds in our own fields, and ultimately we will reap the harvest, okay? Everything must be accounted for. It's like, yes, you've finally met the last of the consequences, right? That has led you up to this point in your life. And now, with this changing of season, there is a choice to be made and a judgment to happen from you in accordance to your life and how you want to proceed with the rest of it. So whatever occurs, just stay true to yourself. Okay. Oh yeah, also, okay, so yeah, before we get to that, there's one more thing. There's one more share to be had. So we have the empty room, okay? Cancer, when you think of the abyss, the vortex, the nothing, when I think of, well, the first thing that comes to my mind is a black hole. It's so very mysterious, and there's so many theories on what it is, what it could be, where it came from, what happens when things go into it. But one never truly knows unless they've gone through it and experienced it. And that is an unknown, and it's scary even just thinking about it. But ironically, the empty room is filled to the brim with potential, right? So having patience, okay, sitting within the barren walls, waiting your true vision and purpose before attaching to what you think you should do next, okay? Be with that impatience and that nothingness, that empty room. So in this time, you may need a lot of spaciousness, okay? Also setting up a time, preferably a whole day, but even if it's just an hour or two of silence, okay? Yeah. So we all have what I call the hungry ghost, right? It's like the ghost on Spirited Away, if you've seen that, where it's always hungry, and no matter how much it eats, it's never satisfied, right? And we all inadvertently usually feed that ghost, and there's consequences, right, for how big it gets and how much space it takes up in our subconscious life. So understanding what it is and what it is you're feeding it, and how you can have that relationship with that part of you, but not giving in to its hunger. Okay, that is another element here that's really going to be helpful. So check out Patreon if you are interested in learning more about some of the topics we discussed, like the plant allies, right? We also were talking about Jason and Peleus, their story, and the Golden Fleece. You can also read up more about the Fool and the animal spirit, the eagle. And then we also want to go into more information on Hermes. Yep, and the guide to the underworld. which is also in the shamanic transmutation. So yeah, if you have any questions, lastly, yes, Cancer, this is the last message that came through, was the song by Jewel. It's Jewel. The song is called Absence of Fear. Okay, I hope you have a wonderful fall, autumn season, and I will hopefully hear back from you next month.